on this call. Yet again, we've got our friends here from ClickDimensions. We've had a very long-standing partnership with ClickDimensions. Really happy to be doing this little webinar series with them. And today's guest is not just Jamie, the wonderful Jamie, but also the wonderful Sean. So welcome to you both.
Thank you very much, Wendy.
Thank you so much indeed. Always a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here again, Jamie. So can I hand over to you just for a kind of brief introduction about what we're going to chat about today?
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. So yeah, I mean, I know previously we've had Sunil on the call talking about all things social and Barry talking about all things marketing services. And actually, do you know what we're thinking? Outside of just the technology, it's more than just providing tech, but also that support piece as well. So bringing Sean Thornton into this call, and thank you, Sean, for joining us today. Is Sean's been in the business now just over 18 months and has provided second to none level of support to both partners and existing customers that are fully utilising ClickDimensions. So really wanted to bring his expertise on the call today.
That's great, thank you. And Sean, we know each other, don't we? Because you're our customer success manager, and I just wanted to ask a little bit about you. You know, where you're from. I think probably Cork.
Yeah, spot on. I think Wendy, from our previous conversations, I probably gave away the accent and stuff. Yes. But Cork is Cork, Ireland, down the south of Ireland. As Jamie said, been here for about 18 months and have pretty much loved every minute of it. I only came from CIT, which is a Cork Institute of Technology, a college here in Cork. And over the last 9 months, I've been juggling both. But I'm very thankful to say that I've been able to come out the other side of this, get my degree, my level 8 degree of marketing, and now full time with ClickDimensions. It's fantastic. It's almost like starting my journey afresh now that I have my degree, and only 23 at the moment. So hopefully the start of a good career with the guys.
Fantastic. Well, I have to say that our experience of having you as our customer success manager has been only good. So
I appreciate
thank you very much for taking the time here, and congratulations on achieving your degree. It'll stand you in good stead, but there's nothing like experience, is there? You
cannot buy it. You cannot buy it.
Yes, exactly that. So I'm just wondering, what does your role entail really here with ClickDimensions?
Yeah, so I think, as a customer success manager, it's not just a one and done, it's a one role, and you do that for the whole day. A typical day for me, would be obviously you check in, you log in, you check your emails, and you may have a number of calls in that day. Now, for me as a customer success manager, I like to run things kind of in the sense that, of course, I have customers that I talk to, but what I like to do is I like to have a clear plan of what I'm going to do for the day. So I may have to reach out to 5 customers in the morning. And for 3 of these customers, it might be to check in with their renewals. For 2 of these, it might be to send over their health reports or their usage reports to make sure they know what they're using. And if they don't know what they're using and if they're not happy with it, get back to me and we're going to organize a call very quickly. Obviously with customer success, what you're going to want to do is the success side of things. You're going to want the customer to be successful. That's hugely important. And obviously if the customer is successful, the customer's value is going to increase as well from there. So I think with that in mind, if a customer's value is increasing, I've done my job.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of success as a whole. Every CSM is different, and every CSM run things their own way. And it's funny as well, Wendy, because obviously I look after the customers under Cloud 2020. But if you think about it, and from speaking to colleagues who would look after customers in a different region, you have to change your approach for different customers. And different customers, different industries. It is very much a case of getting to know them. A typical discussion with a customer would be the first 5-10 minutes talking about the game at the weekend, or how they've been, or holidays and that kind of thing, and then the next 20-25 minutes would actually be getting down to the nitty-gritty, explaining to them what they're doing. I think a really good piece of my job is being proactive in my approach and not really reactive. So what that kind of means is, if a customer comes to me and says, Sean, we haven't used the tool over the last 6 months, help us out. Yeah, of course, I'll be happy to do that. But I'd look at that from my point of view as almost a loss, because if they're coming to me over the last 6 months and they haven't used it, that's 6 months lost that they haven't been using their tool to the maximum, maximum capabilities essentially. So what I'd like to do instead is be proactive, reach out to these customers. And what I like to do is really bi-monthly, so every couple of months, reach out to them and get a call going, send them over a Power BI report of their usage. And actually, I've been speaking to Jamie about kind of new initiatives and new ways forward. And we were only speaking recently about recording short clips for customers explaining the usage, and that's something that going forward I'm going to be adopting for all existing customers.
Sounds fantastic, Sean. I mean, I have to say that one of the words I would use to describe you would be very proactive and committed. Actually, I think that would be the other way that I would describe you, in that you maintain your focus, even though I try and put you off with all kinds of banter to start with.
Not at all.
All the way through, and then keep pulling us back. Yes, but we need to look at who's using what, and I just think that's fantastic. Jamie, can I push this back to you and just say, so where in ClickDimensions, kind of the organisation, where does the CSM manager sit, and how does that role kind of interface with you and what you're doing?
Good question. Okay, so I mean, the client success manager. So once a customer has agreed and has, agreed to utilize the ClickDimensions tool, the client success manager will then typically do their introduction and talk through the onboarding process, if that, depending on whether a partner or whether we are doing the onboarding for that customer, and then ultimately manages that relationship going forward. And I think, from Sean's perspective and where we've really seen that value is that consistent engagement. I think that's so key, not just 3 months or a month before their renewal and all of a sudden jumping on and saying, well, your renewal's coming on, guys, how are you getting on? But also, I suppose working with the likes of yourself and with Sean as well, and collaborating both vendor and partner to truly understand how customers are utilizing their tool, and then use that engagement and that data to then understand how do we engage with that customer. Wendy, from your perspective at Cloud 2020, you guys might be working on a CRM project at the time, an upgrade going into the cloud. And Sean and I ultimately then work with you guys in understanding, so where are they in that life cycle? How does that impact the way they're utilizing ClickDimensions? But I'm going to speak on behalf of Sean. He's fantastic in terms of actually truly understanding what that customer's goals and objectives are and why they invested in ClickDimensions in the first place, and then relaying that information back into the technology afterwards.
Yeah. Sean, do you have anything to add into there, or shall we move on to our next question?
No, I think just a very final point. I think Jamie touched on it there. It's really, stripping it all back and actually understanding the customer's goals and objectives. If I, as a customer success manager, it gives it away in the name, the success. If I can understand what their goals and objectives are for success, it makes my job 10 times easier, but it also makes the likelihood of them succeeding with ClickDimensions and utilizing ClickDimensions far, far higher.
Absolutely, and I think we're seeing that more and more actually on what was known as the CRM side as well, that it's not just enough to put a solution in. You have to remain connected to that customer and remind them that actually, their sales solution, their dynamic sales solution should be just that. It should be dynamic, should be making some changes, and as should be optimized actually as their business grows. That's the whole point of having it, in order to create business growth, and similarly with the marketing applications such as yourselves. And I think, if it isn't doing that, then okay, we've been through a quite tricky time recently where some extraordinary not just world events, but local to our country events have gone on, and that has maybe created a slightly different environment, but how we would normally look at business growth. But I think one of the things that came out from the whole pandemic situation we all found ourselves in was that actually marketing is the new sales. People don't want to be sold to, and marketing is the way to actually gain the eyes and the ears of your potential customers and to generate trust in what you're doing. So I think that, ClickDimensions is very well placed for that new change in the way that we're talking to people, and is a really valuable tool. But I know there are other things other than the traditional campaign automation and all the stuff that you've got going on there. You do have some other tools and products out there that you want to introduce to people. So how would you see that opportunity developing? What kind of criteria are you looking for to position all of those additional tools?
Yeah, and it's a really good question, Wendy, because this is something that CSMs, they definitely do see a customer not utilizing the tool to the maximum, their maximum potential. I think a customer may purchase ClickDimensions and they may have the grandest ideas, and they may want to use campaign automation, forms, events, SMS, everything under the sun, but then, we talk to them a couple months later and they've sent a couple of emails and they're not 100% sure. So I think as a customer success manager, I'm not afraid to ask maybe the tough questions. So again, stripping it back, asking them the goals and objectives, and again, tying that into, the features that they can use. So if a customer comes to me and says, look, Sean, we're really struggling here, we're not getting enough leads, I can say, okay, I'll ask a tough question. How do you want to go about this? With ClickDimensions, the capabilities are there. There's web forms, there's lead generation, there is going to be campaign automation. There's ways and means within Click to do it. Now, again, asking them why initially they purchased ClickDimensions, what was the reason they did, understanding what they actually want to use it for is hugely important. And then once I'm able to understand that from a customer success point of view, I'm able to go back, I'm able to say, guys, look, you have me as a resource, a customer success manager. And in the past, Wendy, what I've done is I've actually gone into customers and I've gone to their marketing teams on calls and just said to them, look, what I can do for you guys is I can do 2 or 3 demos, and this is probably a success story almost in itself. A customer that I have in my head now, they weren't utilizing the tool at all. And when I say at all, Wendy, it was very, very minimal usage. It was a few emails and nothing else, And what I did is I went in, I did 2 or 3 demos with their marketing team. I think there was a campaign automation, web content, so forms and surveys, subscription pages, and then just your regular email sends. We did about 3.5 hours of calls over the space of a month. I think it was maybe 3 weeks. And then after that, straight away, it was 3.5 hours of work. But that it was almost priceless to them, in the sense that they had a resource to go to for that success, and obviously they have me, they have these demos, but we also, Wendy, have free online resources. ClickDimensions Academy, which I know Jamie's spoken to you about. There's been massive improvements in that recently, a lot more online video tutorials, which I, for one, is the best way for me to learn, for sure.
Me too.
I think it is as well in the majority, and I think we've definitely heard that from customers as well, and fed that back. Then there's the blog and there's the knowledge base as well, and these coming together with your customer success manager, I was going to say it's a great foundation to start with, but it is more than a foundation. The onboarding will provide that solid foundation, whether it's partner provided or ClickDimensions provided, and then CSMs will go in there with a plan, with an action plan to guarantee success and to make sure success is going to be achieved. And as I say, we have the online resources available 24/7. If there is any night owls at 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning that want to go on the academy, I wouldn't be that person, but by all means, they're welcome to do it.
I don't think I would be either.
I'll stay in bed.
I think what I'm hearing from you, Sean and Jamie, is that so essentially a subscription to ClickDimensions for a business is really access to a partnership that in many ways will enable you to remain the focus that you had at the point that you signed the contract. So the focus, at the point that you sign the contract, most businesses, they have a plan for how they're going to use it, and they're not just kind of going, oh, well, we think we're going to do this. But often in the day-to-day, and then maybe somebody moves on actually, and your marketing manager, who was the person who was really most closely connected to the solution, has moved on. Those things happen on a day-to-day basis, and it's partly those are some of the reasons why maybe the use falls slightly, or it just gets put into a corner, and actually it gets put into the file that's called too difficult. you know, and every business has a file called too difficult, you know, problems that they know they've got to resolve, but actually just today it's too difficult. So I think what we're talking about there is, you know, you provide that focus and that opportunity to connect back in. Jamie, I can see that you were going to drop it in there.
I was just going to say, no, you've hit the nail on the head. And actually, I suppose where we, as a business, we're a SaaS company at the end of the day. So every single customer is allocated as part of their subscription and their investment in ClickDimensions in a dedicated named client success manager. So like you correctly said, if someone then moves on and then someone else comes back in, they can have that meeting with Sean, and Sean can fill them in as to this is where you guys are at with the technology. And it's a named person, you know, it's someone that is dedicated to working with you on that account, that is part of that end-to-end journey and experience of investment with Click. So so I just wanted to drop that in because it's so important. I don't think enough ISV vendors are providing that, you know, and someone that's dedicated to a set account. You might get allocated an account manager, but those people typically, you know, can move on as well, as much as the customer. Absolutely. So to have that person's there.
I think you've both really hit the nail on the head there. There's, you know, difference between, you know, account managers and then customer success managers. And with customer success managers, as I said earlier, it gives the title, it gives it away, success. You know, that's my job. I'm there to guarantee success to, you know, to the very best that I can, you know. And I think, as Jamie said, having that person to fall back on, it's almost like a security blanket. And obviously, for however long a customer is a ClickDimensions customer, they are going to have that customer success manager to talk to, you know, to be a point of contact with. So, you know, it's one of the many perks.
It sounds fantastic, and I know in practice it really works. So thank you. We're going to need to wrap this call up now, but I just wondered if there was maybe somewhere, you know, a call to action really, or a message that we wanted to give out to people who maybe have a subscription, partners of our own that are watching this webinar. If you have a subscription and you don't feel you're getting the most from it, what would be the steps that they need to take to kind of connect with you and find out more really about what you can offer them?
Yeah, so if a customer is not utilizing that to the, you know, the fullest potential, and they want to get in touch with me, firstly, I would be delighted to hop on a call, a 20-minute call, 30-minute call, however long it needs to be, and essentially just start talking to them. You know, it's very, you know, easy to have an agenda and to run through that, but just having a conversation about, as I say, stripping it back. What do you want to do with your marketing? What does that process look like? What is your strategy? How does your sales team work? Just having a conversation like we're doing here, and like we've had many times before, you know, all four of us here. You know, I think if we were able to have that call straight away after that 30 minutes, the hardest part is done, you know, because I've been able to identify the, you know, the problems, but also the way forward. You know, and from there we put in an action plan, we put in a success plan, which is a new initiative as well. And from there, you know, hopefully in 12 months time, they're the biggest users of ClickDimensions, you know, in the UK.
That would be brilliant. Jamie, do you have anything to add into there?
No, I think Sean has hit the nail on the head. I think ultimately it's about understanding goals and objectives. We'll always talk about the technology eventually, but actually we need to truly understand what a customer is looking to achieve. Once that's been established, we can then relay that back into the technology features and functions and just ensure that they are fully utilized in the platform, because, you know, their successes are successes in the day, and we want our customers to stay with us for years on end as well. So
absolutely. Well, we'll make sure that the contact details are on the end of this recording when we put this out. We'll of course be going out on our social media, your social media, our own LinkedIn posts, and you know, we just want to say that if anybody wants further information about ClickD, you know, to come either to ourselves or to yourselves. But I just wanted to round this up and say thank you very much for your time. It's been really useful for me, and I've learnt, as always, when I talk to you, Sean and Jamie, I've always learned something. So thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you for having us. Thanks for having us. Take care, guys.